Dispilion tablet, the oldest writing in the world from the days of Atlantis. 1932, the lake settlement at Dispilion in northern Greece, Kastoria, discovered by chance by Professor Antonis Keramopoulos. In 1993, during the excavations directed by archaeologist and professor of prehistoric archaeology at the Aristotle University of Salonika, George Houmouziadis, already in the second year of systematic work, a piece of wood was found at the bottom that became known as the Dispilion plaque. Can you put yourself in the shoes of the man who first picked it up in the water at the bottom, and as soon as he saw some patterns on it, he skimmed the surface to see if there were any patterns there? Could they have been deliberately carved by a lake dweller dating back to between 5600 BC and 4000 BC? Maybe, he thought. If so, that would mean a lot, but that was not his job to speculate. He immediately called the excavation manager. The embossed marks on the piece of wood immediately piqued the interest of the entire excavation team when they learned about it, but above all of Mr. Houmouziadis, and in the interview with the newspaper, in 1999, he claimed that they can constitute an attempt at communication by a Neolithic man that we hope to interpret someday, he said. And according to the same interview, the dating of the find, which became known as the Dispilion tablet, was done using carbon-14 method and showed that its age must be around 5260 BC, and from here on the difficulties began. From the years of Atlantis, the brilliant and internationally renowned Greek journalist of archaeological findings, Yannis Tripolis, searched for and found the man of the excavation who first held the Dispilion tablet in his hands, and after agreeing with him, brought him into contact with Ftihia Ronda, a woman from the Modern Society of Psychic Research, who was a hypnotist and a medium. She could read things, objects, and tell their story in almost every detail. It was not the first time that the journalist took advantage of her kindness, nor was it the first time that the woman guessed and said it was reliable almost 100%, since it was always confirmed by the gradual discoveries around the object that she touched. What did the journalist achieve with this? He wrote and published before anyone else an archaeological news item for which as yet there had been no official report. All the other journalists came in second and third by a large margin, so he always earned the biggest reward for the publisher, since he had the best and most in-depth news first, and this method never disappointed him with Mrs. Ftihia Ronda, the psychic. Now, when Ronda touched the man who held the Dispilion sign in his hands, through the turbidity of the water she could clearly see the wood and its surface. The reliefs on it were clear. In fact, through automatic writing, or another way that the journalist was not interested in knowing, the woman drew the signs clearly on paper and gave them to him. The drawings are like letters, she said. They may be older than 10,000 BC. They are like an early alphabet, long before linear A and B. I have determined the age of it. The writing, it's around 5368 BC. The person who carved them knew very well what he was writing. This section is a fragment of a larger tablet. The rest of the pieces are in the lake. You have to look harder to find them, she said. What it says is about a hero and an army of people who fell from the sky that came from the other side of the Atlantic. I can't see anything else. The wood is eroding. The inscription is destroyed. And then Rhoda, the psychic, recovered from her transcendental communication. The journalist thanked her, gave her her fee, which she deposited in a children's foundation, as she always did. He wrote the article in a way that would interest even the most indifferent, putting everything that Rhoda mentioned, believing that very soon all this would be discovered, as always happened. He gave it a particularly impressive title and called it Dispilion tablet, the oldest writing in the world from the years of Atlantis. and gave it to the editor-in-chief. He looked at him curiously, it was the first time he had done so, and gave the long text to the editor, who, after reading it, called the famous journalist to his office. "Are you sure about everything you're writing here?" he asked incredulously. "Of course I am," he said. "I always am," the journalist replied. The editor leaned forward in front of his desk and began to tell him. "Do you know that the Dispilion tablet, as you call it, is not even a tablet? This term is completely abusive and gives the world, the reader, the idea that some object has letters on it, even ideograms and hieroglyphs. Have you seen the photo? This surface does not seem to be intended for writing. It's simply a piece of wood with some carving on it. I would say bird carvings, but my position does not allow me to do so. How can you say that it's writing in fact the oldest in the world, that may reach back in the times of Atlantis? Where do you base all this?" Atlantis is a myth, and the C14 dating of the find did not even show 5,500 BC, and you have escaped another 5 millennia in addition, assuming, of course, that the mythical Atlantis was once a reality. How do you know that what is engraved on it is some kind of writing, and that it's not carvings made by chance from blows and scratches on rocks, as it drifted to the bottom? Do you know what this piece of wood has experienced at the bottom of the lake for 7,500 years now? These letters that you drew on paper, you did not mention where you found them, on the Dispilion tablet, and let's say that these scratches were not made by chance. Let's say that this is a completely conscious attempt to carve out a content that concerns a type of communication. Let's call it writing. What did some fishermen need writing for 7,500 years ago who lived in the lakeside settlement without any center of power that would need to keep records? And in fact, instead of writing about their catches, they referred to parachutists who came from another continent. How did you think of all this? How did they come about? And how can you connect these signs with the imprint of the Greek language at a time when we don't know if it's writing? But even if it is, it has not been deciphered yet, let alone if it's Greek. And why should it be? Because it was found in Castoria of Greece. The first generally accepted recording writing is in cuneiform script of the 3rd millennia BC of the Sumerians. This cannot be refuted with an article like the one you have written, nor can it refute the Phoenician alphabet or the Indo-European theory. With what evidence? And you forgot the most important thing of all. The Dispilion tablet is a piece of wood that survived at the bottom for 7,500 years. It was preserved for so many thousands of years because it was buried in the mud of the lake under an anaerobic condition. When it came to the surface out of the water, the oxygen it greedily sucked in caused damage, a lot of damage. It almost evaporated, and I don't know whether it will continue to exist in the conditions of preservation where it is, let alone if the sign survives, so that they can be studied practically and not from a photograph. Essentially, my dear friend, you have nothing, nor has any other wood been found with similar carvings that, together with the Dispilion tablet, could be considered part of a larger text. The journalist Gianni Tripalis was honestly speechless with the torrential scolding he heard from his longtime publisher friend, but he was not disappointed. He had great confidence in Mrs. Ronda, the psychic. She had never disappointed him, so he took this article to another publisher who, excited by Tripalis' immense fame, finally published the lengthy text, and the result? Nothing he wrote was ever verified. The publisher was discredited, and the journalist was never able to find work in his profession anymore, not even in a cheap pamphlet. He then opened a canteen with dirty food to be able to live. Almost 30 years later, the International Academy is still waiting for the completion of the maintenance work from the Dispilion sign. And this is from Wikipedia as well. story from Subtitle for Years of Atlantis, fictional product of fiction. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.